Everyone knows the story. A Roman emperor, driven mad by power, appointed his horse to the Senate. Maybe even made him a consul, the highest political office in Rome, held by generals and statesmen for 500 years, and then, one day, given to a horse. It's one of the most famous acts of insanity in the ancient world. Quoted in history books, referenced in political speeches, used for 2,000 years as the ultimate symbol of a government in decay. There's just one problem. It probably didn't happen. And the real story, the story of why a Roman emperor would even threaten to do something like this, is far stranger and far more interesting than the legend. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus. He was 24 years old when he became emperor of Rome. The Roman people didn't call him Gaius. They called him by the nickname he'd been given as a small boy, the son of a famous general, following his father on military campaigns through the forests of Germania. The soldiers thought he was adorable. They made him a tiny soldier's uniform, a miniature pair of military boots. They called him Caligula, Little Boots. He hated it for the rest of his life. When Caligula came to the throne in 37 AD, Rome was exhausted. The previous emperor, Tiberius, had ruled for 23 years with escalating paranoia. He'd presided over treason trials, exiles, executions. By the end, nobody felt safe. When Tiberius finally died, people reportedly danced in the streets. Caligula was the antidote. The son of the beloved general Germanicus, a man the Roman people had genuinely adored before his death under suspicious circumstances. Caligula burned Tiberius's records of political crimes on his first days in office. He released prisoners. He canceled the treason trials. He threw games and festivals. The historian Philo described his first 7 months as a golden age of happiness and prosperity. Even Caligula's enemies admitted that early. Then, in October of 37 AD, he fell ill. Whatever it was, contemporary accounts are vague, it was serious enough that his life was uncertain for weeks. Rome held its breath. When he recovered, the people celebrated. But the people around Caligula noticed something immediately. He was different. The generosity had curdled. The warmth had become something else. Within the year, he had his co-heir killed. Then the Praetorian prefect who had helped him gain power. The treason trials, which he'd abolished with such fanfare, came back. Senators who had praised him 6 months earlier began sleeping badly. Historians have debated for centuries what happened during that illness. Epilepsy, brain damage, the sheer psychological pressure of absolute power hitting a 24-year-old who had grown up watching his mother and brothers destroyed by the previous regime. The honest answer is that nobody knows. What we do know is what came next. Caligula began declaring himself a god, not a future god. Emperors were typically deified after death, a present god. He started appearing in public dressed as Jupiter or Neptune or Mercury. He demanded that senators address him accordingly. One ancient account claims he had a bridge of boats built across the Bay of Naples, nearly 3 miles long, just to ride across it in a golden chariot. Partly, it was rumored, to mock a prophecy that had said he had no more chance of becoming emperor than of riding a horse across the Bay of Baiae. He made senators run alongside his chariot for miles. He invited them to dinner and then, at the table, suddenly burst out laughing. When they asked what was funny, he told them he'd just realized that he could have all their throats cut with a single nod, right there at the table. He thought that was amusing. They had to laugh too. If you cover stories like this and want more of them, consider subscribing. We dig into moments like this one every week. This is the context in which the horse appears. His name was Incitatus, Latin for swift, or at full gallop. He was a chariot racing stallion, white, originally from the Iberian Peninsula, Caligula's favorite. The night before any race involving Incitatus, soldiers were reportedly sent into the surrounding neighborhoods to enforce absolute silence, on pain of death, so the horse could sleep undisturbed. Incitatus had a marble stable, an ivory feeding trough, purple blankets, because purple was the color of royalty and the most expensive dye in the ancient world. A jeweled collar, his own house with a full staff of servants. He received dinner guests in that house Senators and dignitaries invited in the horse's name, served at a table, entertained by the horse's staff. He ate oats mixed with gold flakes. He drank wine from golden cups. Caligula reportedly offered toasts to his health in front of assembled guests. And then, at some point, Caligula announced that he planned to make Incitatus a consul. The ancient historians Suetonius and Cassius Dio both recorded this. Suetonius wrote that, "It is also said that he planned to make him consul." His phrasing matters. It is said. He was writing 80 years after the events. Dio, writing even later, added that Caligula promised to appoint Incitatus to the consulship, and would certainly have done so had he lived longer. Neither of them claimed it actually happened. The appointment was never formally made. No official record of it exists. No senatorial decree. No inscription. The story passed through centuries of retelling, each version getting a little more certain, a little more literal, until the threat became the act, and the act became the symbol. But here's what makes the whole thing genuinely interesting. Even as a threat, it was a devastating political weapon. The consulship was Rome's highest elected office. For 500 years of the Republic, consuls had commanded armies, presided over the Senate, held the actual machinery of government. By Caligula's reign, emperors had hollowed it out into a ceremonial role, but it still carried enormous symbolic weight. It was the thing senators competed for their entire careers, the pinnacle of a Roman political life. And Caligula was telling them in front of witnesses that his horse could have it. Modern historians, including Alois Winterling, who wrote a biography of Caligula in 2011, have argued that this was deliberate, that many of Caligula's most outrageous acts were not symptoms of madness, but of a specific, calculated contempt. He had watched the Senate destroy his family through sycophancy and cowardice, smiling at Tiberius while his mother starved in exile and his brothers died in prison. He knew exactly what they were. He wanted them to know that he knew. And he expressed it by making them sit across the dinner table from a horse dressed in purple while they smiled and toasted its health. The senators understood the message perfectly. They just couldn't say so. On January 24th, 41 AD, a Praetorian tribune named Cassius Chaerea led a group of conspirators to ambush Caligula as he left the games. Chaerea himself struck first. Caligula was stabbed more than 30 times. He was 28 years old. His wife and infant daughter were killed the same day. When news reached the Senate, they immediately voted to erase his name from public records. His statues were pulled down. There was talk of restoring the Republic, which died quickly when the Praetorian Guard found Caligula's uncle Claudius hiding behind a curtain in the palace, declared him emperor, and the Senate ran out of options. Incitatus survived the transition. He was reportedly well cared for under Claudius. The political appointment, of course, was never revisited. For 2,000 years, the story of the horse has been used as shorthand for political dysfunction, a corrupt institution, a contemptuous ruler, a government so broken that even its participants knew it was a performance. Politicians have been compared to Incitatus since at least the 1740s, the implication being that a horse could do the job just as well. What's striking is that Caligula would probably agree. That was precisely the point. Here's what I keep coming back to. Was Caligula actually mad? Or was he just the first person in that building honest enough to say out loud what everyone already knew? Drop your answer below. I'm genuinely curious where people land on this one.